What you got, Scoot?
All right, so if you've been on the internet at any point yesterday, especially as a wrestling fan, it was reported by everybody that apparently WWE has been in talks with New Japan Pro Wrestling to be their American Connect in a sense. That they want to be the official home when New Japan wants to come to America. It will be done through WWE, which means also too New Japan stars can come to WWE. WWE stars can go to Japan and wrestle for NJPW. So the question, mainly, of course, how does everybody feel?
Well, I went through mixed emotions at first because when you had sent it to a Scoot, my initial thought was, damn, they're about to find a way to screw up New Japan. And then I thought about it some more. I said, you know what? I hope this is just more of an exposure deal rather than an integration of the two brands.
Yeah.
And as I thought about it even more, I was like, wait a minute. I know what this is about. And I started thinking, Daniel Bryan apparently still has not re-signed with the WWE.
Nope.
And last I checked, while he was still there, he was fighting more so for brand-to-brand promotion. And specifically speaking, New Japan. So then I start thinking maybe, just maybe, this is a ploy to try to get Daniel Bryan to re-sign. And then the Tony Khan video came out. And then to me, just for me specifically, it solidified that because the way that Tony Khan just dropped bombs on Nick Khan.
By the way, do you have that audio?
I can get it.
Because I'm pretty sure that would be more being played for the peeps rather than, us trying to talk about it because, it was something about that video that kind of rubbed me the wrong way personally.
Oh.
And
I agree with you there.
And I have no issues with Tony Khan personally. I had issues with this. And it's mainly because it's kind of unnecessary shots. And listening to the names Tony Khan listed, he listed people. The only person he truly listed that really quote unquote mattered, and not to be mean, was Kenta.
Kenta was the only... Kenta, did he?
Huh?
If I remember, I mean, we're about to hear it, but I mean, I thought it was just he listed Yuji Nagata,
I think he listed Kenta as well.
Okay, he may have, but the three that I immediately remembered were Yuji Nagata, Ren Narita, and Rocky Romero.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Rocky,
I didn't remember him mentioning Kenta.
And Rocky, he was on what? You said Dark, right?
He was on Elevation.
Dark. Oh, it was on Elevation. Which I was gonna go back and watch that because I heard your review on it, and I was like, "Oh shit, Rocky Romero!" But
there was a hell of a moment there. They like Tony Khan himself said, they reunited Roppongi Vice.
Yeah. So it's not like he got like the major people. It's not like Okada or the LIJ or Chaos or other members of the Bullet Club. It's not like he got them to come, but we about to hear it.
Yeah. Well, let me know if y'all can hear that actually, just to make sure.
No.
All right, let's we have to do it through my mic then. That is not a problem. Let me just switch this shit on this end.
Before we play this, I will say, do not slight Rocky Romero. That man is behind.
I don't want to slight Rocky Romero because I actually fucks with Rocky, but I'm talking about as far as...
I mean, he's production-wise, he's behind the scenes on a lot of shit. So
because I love Rocky's commentary.
He is that man in the room with their big man Gato.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Let's see what we have here. Ooh.
There we go. All right.
Fans, as we set to go live on TNT tonight with AEW Dynamite at 10 o'clock Eastern Time, I introduce to you the CEO, the owner, the president of All Elite Wrestling and the Forbidden Door, Mr. Tony Khan.
Thank you very much, Tony. I appreciate it, Mr. Schiavone. And as we get ready to go live tonight on Dynamite on TNT, I just wanted to address, as the Forbidden Door, I read in The Observer today that New Japan Pro Wrestling apparently has had talks with WWE President Nick Khan. Well, Nick, I have to say, if you've been talking to New Japan Pro Wrestling for 2 months, you've gotten a lot done. Just in the last 2 weeks, I've had Yuji Nagata, Ren Narita, and Rocky Romero on AEW. I've reunited Roppongi Vice. I've had the New Japan IWGP US champion Jon Moxley defend the title successfully on our show, retaining it. And I have future plans with New Japan Pro Wrestling for the US title. So you must have really gotten a lot done in the 2 months, Nick. In fact, I think there's only room for one Khan in the wrestling business, Nick. And it's me, it's Tony Khan. It's not some Khan man from Connecticut. Have a fun show tonight, Nick. See you on Dynamite.
Didn't even mention Kenta there.
No, he didn't mention Kenta. You're right. Now, the issues I personally have, if Tony was really about it, Dynamite should have came on the same time as SmackDown if you want to talk all that good shit. Because remember, you pushed your show after SmackDown because you didn't want them to compete.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if you wanted to pop all that good shit and be the one true Khan in the wrestling business. But besides all that, like, we don't know what these talks could have been. These talks could have been like, let's rewind. From the talks that WWE has been having, the people AEW has featured from New Japan won't mean shit if at SummerSlam Okada shows up or some shit like that.
Mm-hmm.
All of that won't mean nothing. Anybody who's shown up on AEW from New Japan won't mean nothing if Tanahashi or anybody like that starts to show up. The Bullet Club. If the Bullet Club shows up, none of that won't mean nothing, what you're saying, at all. Because we all know when WWE really wants to do stuff, they want to do stuff big.
Yeah.
WWE really doesn't do anything small. If they're going to do it, they're going to do it. So, personally speaking, I don't mind a partnership. Maybe this could be the shot in the arm we mentioned before that WWE might need to be a better product.
Yeah.
Featuring New Japan talent and, you know, in the aspect of it'll also help the WWE wrestlers who still wants to check that off on their bucket list to go wrestle in Japan. It's like, hey, we don't mind you being on the next Wrestle Kingdom come January. You know, go do it. So, like, could you imagine Randy Orton showing up on Wrestle Kingdom fighting whomever? Like, that would be major. You know, so
it would be interesting, but there's two things that kind of plague my mind, and one of them came from this video with Tony Khan, because looking at it again, he seems, because I know you mentioned that he did seem pretty smug.
Yes.
But at the same time, he also seems pretty salty about something, as if he had no awareness that this deal was going down. And probably there probably is some validity to the fact that there could be talks.
It felt very much like him trying to, if at the very least, get on the hype train of this announcement that came out. just trying to get ahead of it before like somebody blows up or somebody starts asking Tony Khan some questions.
Mm-hmm.
True.
But yes, there does seem like there is some salt involved in this.
And the second thing that's plaguing my mind is the fact that, let's just say hypothetically this deal does go through.
Yeah.
What happens with Mox as
U.S.
the
champ?
the U.S. champ?
You know what? To be perfectly honest with you, I think WWE would leave him as, hey, that is New Japan's talent. He doesn't necessarily have to be featured on our TV. He can still be featured in New Japan and AEW, but at the end of the day, if Jon Moxley is AEW / NJPW, they would treat him more as NJPW talent. And I don't think he really had a bad walk away from WWE. So
he kind of buried him when he left.
Say it again?
He kind of buried him when he left.
He kind of did, but I mean, who hasn't buried the creative? Like, some of their own roster has buried the creative actively on the roster. So it ain't like he was like, fuck WWE, I'll never go back there, fuck them forever. It was just more of, I didn't like the way my direction was going.
Well, then let's
today, he's an NJPW talent, and you know they'll probably treat him as such.
Okay, now let's take it a step further. Let's look at Finn Juice.
Okay,
being a New Japan talent on Impact with Impact titles. So because I guess my thing is, and I guess the more the confusion is the lack of information, especially with these deals that happen with New Japan and AEW, Ring of Honor, so on and so forth. Because the way that I look at WWE is the way that I look at just meshing the worlds, like Scoot would say. The way that I would look at the video game industry, where you look at the whole crossplay situation, you know, with PC, Xbox, Nintendo Switch, and then PlayStation. PlayStation basically being the WWE in the situation with not wanting to play well with others. So if New Japan wanted to continue to work with them, would WWE end up handcuffing them in this deal so that way they can only exclusively work with WWE?
I mean, that's what they said in this announcement, right? They were trying to get an exclusivity deal. So, yeah, that's exactly what I'm worried about as well. Just if WWE does get involved in this, then as we mentioned with Moxley, you're probably not going to see Moxley anywhere on the TV or even a mention of Moxley during WWE, whatever they're doing with New Japan. You're probably not going to hear anything about any other wrestlers that are on any other programs, even whether they be New Japan or not. They're going to probably just be left in the dark, just like NXT talent is from main WWE talent. That's the way I see it, at least, as what, like, if WWE is going to be like, okay, well, you can keep your current guys that are on other shows, but we're not going to name drop them. We're not going to hint at them, nothing.
True.
And then, too, I wonder, is there any more validity to it now since this story came out? Because, you know, recently Finn Juice lost the tag team titles.
Oh, huh.
Yeah, Finn Juice lost the tag team titles to Rhino and
whatever the hell.
Two other members of Violet by Design stable. They lost the tag team titles too. And I know Joe Doring is about to fight
Kojima.
Yeah, Kojima. So I wonder, is it one of those situations to where the talks could be ramping up more, and that maybe there could be a recall on some of the talent to come back to NJPW minus Moxley. So
could be.
It could be some more validity to this story and more serious of talks, because I mean, WWE has the fan base, they have the money, they have the production, they have the means. They about to start being back on the road come July. So
that's also AEW. When did they say they were going back on the road?
I think it was July as well.
Yeah, but let's see. AEW said July 7th. I was trying to figure out when the WWE said theirs.
16th.
Okay.
And then I mean, and New Japan has been trying to break into that American market for a while now.
Strong. They've got strong. They film and record strong here in the States for their state living wrestlers.
And then WWE has a network which can be featured stuff. So I mean,
yeah. Well,
regardless of how we feel about the WWE, they're still the largest American promotion.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So it makes sense. We have to, I think, us as fans, in a broad sense, have to take our feelings away from WWE and look at it as a business sense.
Yeah. Well, yeah. From a business perspective, it's definitely a smart move. But from what's the word I'm looking for? From a creative perspective, it just feels like it's like dead on arrival in a way.
Yes.
Because I mean, yeah, if you think about the ins and outs of it, New Japan partners with WWE. They can go on the WWE network. They can get a lot of the pay-per-views and special events that New Japan has and get more syndication on it to get more eyes on it. So yeah, absolutely, I'm all for that aspect, which is why I said for exposure, I would hope that would be the only thing that would be the integral part. But being that they won the exclusivity deal, yeah, that's just weird. It's a double-edged sword in a way.
Well, and I thought about the exclusivity thing because then me and the missus was talking about it earlier, and I was like, we as wrestling fans kind of get upset with WWE from the way they operate, but the NBA, NFL, MLB all operate the same thing. If you play for the NBA, you can't go do anything else. You can't go play in another promotion overseas or another promotion like for instance, if you play in the NFL, you can't on the off season go play for the XFL. So WWE kind of operates in that same boat of a professional sport. It's like, hey, if you work for us, unless we work out partnerships and things like that, you're only working here.
Yeah.
So, and it kind of makes sense to kind of do it that way with New Japan. It's like, hey, we can get your product on millions of people. So if you're going to partner with us, we got to be all in. No pun intended. We got to be all in. We will get you the most eyes. We will get you the most viewers. Our talent can be used over there. Your talent can be used here. We'll, of course, work out creative, work out booking, this, that, and the other. But if you're going to do this partnership with us, it's going to be with us and us only.
Yeah.
So it makes sense. It's just like you said, from the creative booking standpoint, that's when it's going to get a little weird.
Yeah, because I can hear all that and agree with everything, but like the one thing at the back of my mind, even though I'm hearing all the logical stuff, is I'm just looking at the way that New Japan books their champions and their storylines and the way that they build for shit and the way WWE thinks. And it's like it just does not. It doesn't coincide at all.
It does not.
And I will say this: if this partnership happens, and if it happens soon, this might be the best Survivor Series ever. Just throwing it out there.
It may, but the only problem that I have with New Japan partnering with WWE outside of the creative and the business aspect is the fans, because a lot of the fans that watch WWE are very casual. And if you think about a lot of the fans that watch, Impact, Ring of Honor, AEW, they are the diehard professional wrestling fans. These are the ones that actually know what's going on outside of WWE. But everybody that's inside that WWE bubble will look at these guys as just international talent, and they'll write them off as the same way that
they spent some time in Japan or whatever the fuck they use for AJ Styles. Yeah.
and that's the only problem I have, because then if they get locked into this exclusivity deal, they're locked in for a while. So it
Yeah,
could
it'll
end
be
up,
at least for a couple of years.
yeah. So it could end up damaging some of the reputation that New Japan has, or basically damage the progress that they've made so far in America when they were with, Ring of Honor and doing stuff here, when Cody and the Bucks and Kenny were with Bullet Club back then, and they were pushing that during that time.
And
that,
since you just brought that up, because you just said the trigger to it, I think honestly, New Japan hasn't really been the same since they left.
I agree.
Yes, we tuned in after because we got used to the talent. But since the elite part of the Bullet Club has left NJPW, it hasn't been the same. Because we haven't seen nothing as impactful as that version of anything, in New Japan. We used to hear about New Japan all the time when the elite was over there. Now it's like you have to just be in tune with NJPW to really know what's going on over there.
Yeah. I definitely agree with that.
I'll say a lot of that just came with I want to say that maybe it's just that Americans kind of fell out of tune with New Japan.
I agree with that. I think more of Americans fell out of tune with it.
Yeah. Like I would say their American audience definitely took a hit once Cody, Kenny, the Bucks, everybody left and made AEW. And I gotta be honest, I'll back that up with the biggest thing that I've seen out of New Japan was Evil betraying LIJ and going to Bullet Club, and even bigger than that was Kota at Wrestle Kingdom, finally getting the belts after he signs his contract to New Japan.
Yeah,
but yeah, since then it's been, I don't know, it's been mild.
Yeah, because Ospreay won the belts. Now Ospreay gave up the belts, so it's like, we're not hearing about it as we used to. It's like, honestly, if Moxley wasn't the North American champion, the U.S. champion, would we truly care about NJPW as much? Because technically our only American link right now to NJPW is Moxley.
Yeah.
And I wonder if Moxley wasn't their North American champion, U.S. champion, would we really still be as enthralled with NJPW as we were?
I can say a 50-50 split for a yes and no, and that one of that 50, that other 50 outside of the no would be because of AEW, and that's mainly because you still have Chris Jericho that potentially has somewhat of a contract with New Japan. You still have some of the potential with a few guys that come over to AEW, and again, still with Mox. I'm pretty sure Lance Archer also may have one as well. And it's just a fact. So, but I think that 50% is mainly just for like the potential of what could be. There's no definitive. There's no definitive like situation that's saying like, yo, this is what's happening. But it's the fact that it could happen and it's not ruled out as a possibility. So,
right.
That part, but I see what you're saying with Mox being a North American champion and being such a good North American champion that they trust him, just like we said before, with him being away for like a year, not defending that title and still not stripping him of that title. So that says a lot for him, and I do agree with that. So
this is what makes me take this WWE or possible WWE partnership with a grain of salt, because New Japan as a whole they're very relationship heavy, or they're very loyal based on their relationships. So they still have a partnership with, as of right now, they still have a partnership with AEW. They still have a partnership with Impact. They if I remember correctly, still have a partnership with Ring of Honor, and I think that's their longest standing partnership, right?
And they still had that partnership. What was it? A CMLL too.
Yeah. Oh yeah, they're definitely on. That's the Mexican brand, right? I'm sorry, I'm blanking right now.
Yeah, I think CMLL or Mexico.
CMLL. Yeah. No, yeah. I mean, they send people there like every year almost, or like they put them on excursion down there all the time. So for WWE to promote an exclusive partnership, that's a lot of bridges being burned there.
Potentially, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, that's a lot of potential bridges being burned.
Yeah, and now see, and I think one of the outliers in this situation would be Nick Khan, because had they said Triple H was in talks in New Japan, then I'd be like, oh yeah, that's definitely happening. But because I don't have any real information on Nick Khan, I think he just got promoted to where he is now.
Yeah, I think he's only been in his position for like a few months. I think, or like a couple of years. Like he hasn't been in that position that long.
So he tries to grab the brass ring by trying to get a deal with New Japan, I guess.
Yeah,
I mean, why not?
And this is somebody that's dealing on the main roster, so that's what. And I know with Triple H, because, like, case in point, with the key phrase being relationship heavy, he's somebody I know that's very delicate, especially with international affairs, when trying to conduct business with different talent and different promotions and stuff like that. So with him not being involved, I mean, at least not publicly, at least at this point, with him not being involved, there's my skepticism there for that aspect. So, yeah.
And, and to be perfectly honest, and I'm going to say this, and y'all are welcome to disagree. I think if Triple H really wanted it his way, possibly, he would probably want to build a relationship with AEW. I
agree.
I think it'll be AEW who would block that relationship. I think AEW will probably be the ones who would be like, nah, we good doing our own thing over here. I think it'll be them who will probably be the ones who would deny the relationship.
I kind of have more faith in them than that. Like, I think they would see a good thing if it came. Or at least that's my faith, that AEW would see a good thing when it came that way. But it had to be on the right terms for sure.
Oh, of course.
Yeah.
Of course. Yeah. You definitely don't want to do anything that's going to just make it seem like it's for y'all. You definitely want to do it on better terms.
Oh,
yeah. It's just one of those sticky situations. Now, I believe that if we hear that Brian has officially re-signed with WWE, I'll be like, yo, this shit is a done deal. They're acquiring New Japan. So,
but I guess we shall see, fellas. I guess we shall see what happens.
Brian at Survivor Series.
What happens in the future.
Yeah.